So you cite fellow member DJ Curse as one of your leading mentors. What was it about his techniques that resonated with you?
Okay, Curse, yes. So again, I was just telling you, growing up, it's mostly, it's hip hop culture is most black and Latinos, and some whites, and of course in the West Coast, again, Asians were part of it, but there were cats who didn't get that respect. There were cats cutting it up, but there weren't cats like got that respect. And Curse was my Qbert before Qbert was around.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because Curse was half Filipino, half white. He's 1 year older than me. And so he was, when I remember when I got into freshman high school, he was a sophomore, and everybody used to talk, you got it, you got to, he's like, who's this guy? Oh, what's this tape? Oh man, you gotta, he wasn't going by Curse at the time. He was going by his real name and shit. So you got, his name was Raymond. You got Ray B's tape, man? Yo, he be cutting up, man. He can, and I was like, I didn't think, like, wow, there's actually someone out here who can do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out that he was someone that's, again, like me, I was blown away, and he was already getting respect. He was like as good as the whatever dope DJs out there. I mean, obviously you have, of course, Grandmaster Flash, Grandmixer DST, whoever would like who I listening to on the radio or records and stuff. But locally wise, him, this cat named DJ Arabian Night, who's now he's black, he's African American, who happens to be now a rapper by the name of Psycho from a group called Insane Poetry. So he's now doing circuits, doing what do you call it, horrorcore rap. So he's one of the I guess you can say he was doing shit before even the Gravediggers and the Flatliners and shit like that out here in the West Coast, right? So and another cat named Scratchmatic, another an African American. So kind of my name was kind of based off of him and shit like that. Mm-hmm. So three local cats: Curse, Arabian Night, and Scratchmatic. They were my local heroes and stuff. And Curse being that because he's Filipino, half Filipino, and like he's Filipino, someone that like I looked up to him and shit like that. So he was my Qbert. It's not necessary techniques. He was doing doubles, doing transforming. He doing what it was doing out right now, And even to this day, he's killing it and shit like that, He got the skills still, but those are the guys who I grew up listening to outside of what, besides K-Day and whatever was coming on the radio and tapes. But yeah, Curse was just kind of like my Qbert before there was a Qbert.
Right. Are there any records that have remained in your arsenal over the years that you just don't want to retire?
Shit. It's almost asking the same, what's your favorite record? And then that's saying things like, what's your favorite kid? I don't know. I mean, as you can see, I have a lot of records.
You don't even have to say favorites, just ones that you feel like you reach for more often than others.
I don't know, man. It all depends, really. I mean, again, it's one thing for being hip hop, but now as we got older and stuff, depends. Like if I'm doing breaks, of course, funky drummers. But if sometimes I might want to play Planet Rock. I don't know. And then sometimes I want to play, like a Gangstar song. I just have a case of records I can just always pull out if I need to play, whatever, whatnot, or 45s and shit. But yeah, there's no really, I can't really think. It is just.
That's okay.
Yeah.
When did you decide to start making beats?
Honestly, it was like late 80s and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just because seeing all my heroes who I grew up listening to, as a DJ, they were doing everything. They were battling, they were on the radio, they were making mixtapes, and then you look at the records, they produced this shit, So that was the next. I would say it was the next evolution and stuff like that. So, I mean, of course, like someone looking at Dr. Dre, Egyptian Lover, Dre went from like being one of the dopest DJs in LA. Like people don't know how dope Dre was, for real. And then next he's making records and shit like that. And next he went from doing electro funk, electro hip hop and shit, and then making shit like like straight out of Compton. you know, like holy shit, you know, Egyptian Lover, same thing, DJ Pooh, you know, and that's only on the LA side. I mean, of course, you're talking about, you know, you got, you know, New York, you got everyone uh, seeing like Jazzy Jeff, Cash Money, they're all making beats. But I mean, of course, you didn't know that some of like the dopest producers were you know, were musicians. I mean, like early Run DMC was produced by Larry Smith, who's one of the dopest producers, like never got to get his credit because he was doing drum machines and shit. Eventually sampling, of course, Marley Marl. There you go, Marley Marl, incredible DJ, and then making you know the bridge. You know, like just kind of one of the first people to you know really start doing sampling and shit like that. So. But yeah, I remember I got it, you know, so I know how to drum programming, but I didn't really get to really making beats and sampling and chopping shit up until 90, 91. Uh, uh, this is right after I left, you know, I left Brotherhood Creed, and I actually bought a SB 1200, and boy, that shit was expensive. Shit was like $35,000, $4,000 at the time. I had to sell my BMX bike. I had to sell whatever I can shit just to buy that shit. So that's when I started kind of making beats. You know, and of course, you know, my parents helped me out too. But yeah, that was my, you know, yeah. Here, I even still have it right here.
Yo, nice.
Yeah. So. Okay. Sorry.
So you name hip hop heavyweights like Grandmaster Flash, Jazzy Jeff, and the Executioners as early influences. Are there any artists or DJs currently active in the scene who have left an impression on you?
And there's so many. There's so many, honestly. I mean, like I said, anyone that was dope from the beginning to all the way to up to now. I mean, uh, of course, if you're talking about like generation, like, I mean, there's Craze, of course, Craze, A-Track. And I like to think they're kind of like the last generation from our generation and stuff. But they're still killing it. They're like,
yeah,
you know, like, I mean, of course, I mean, Boogie Blind, uh, there's so many DJs out there that's like, you know, I mean, Scratch Bastard, who else? There's a lot of cats from Japan. Oh, too many dope cats from Japan. I mean, there's Coco, you know, on the 45s, DJ Coco. Yeah, man, there's so many. I like to think that like I'm still a student, really, honestly.
Somebody just asked if there's anyone past 2010, like any kind of newer, if that makes sense.
Gosh, 2010? Like I said, there's so many people. I really can't.
That's okay.
Yeah, man. There's oh yeah. I mean, the newer generation, like K-Swiss from New Zealand, incredible kid. Him and his partner from Japan. Dude, I can't even think of his name right now. They're called they're a crew themselves. They're two young kids right now killing shit. You know, that's like they, you know, those are two kids right there that's killing it like that. Yeah, there's too many.
That's okay. How did receiving the title of DMC West Coast Champion in 96 and ITF 2 times Team World Champion in 97 and 98 alter your career?
Real quick. So yeah, there you go. Super Beast DJs. There you go. That's K-Swiss's crew.
Thank you.
Super Beast there. Okay.
Do you want me to repeat the question? Or you got it?
Yes, please.
How did receiving the title of DMC West Coast Champion in 96 and ITF 2 times Team World Champion in 97 and 98 alter your DJ career?
Man, honestly, that was a big thing because when we were battling, you know, I'm like one of the oldest guys of the crew, so You know, so I kind of a little bit DJing a little bit longer, but and you know, like Babs, Mellow, Short, you know, D Styles, you know, uh, Mellow. They were all like, you know, they were younger than me, but they kind of put me on my they kept me on my toes. They actually met, you know, and actually hooking up with them made me kind of like step my game up, even though I was DJing longer and stuff like that. So, because you know, at one point you were thinking I know everything, and then you meet some kids that are, you know, not kids, but like younger cats that are just like, yo, they're fucking shit up, and it's like, man, I ain't shit, and like that. And I was also a nerd in terms of also like, you know, I'm a battle historian, really, especially in the 80s and 90s battles and shit. Like beyond that, you know, I still look at the stuff, but like I really at the time I was dissecting shit. Anyways, little fun fact. So, 94, 95, and 96 is the first ever like three Beat Junkies won a West Coast DMC title.
Right.
Like 94 was Shortcut, 95 was Babs, 96 was myself. I remember I entered those two battles right there and didn't do shit. Didn't make any finals. One of my first battles, I actually was I went against Short, and he won. Ironically he just finishing battle for the New Week seminar battle for world supremacy. So and I met, you know, one of my first battles was going against Short. When I met Babs, it was like say my second or third battle, I think. The first time I met Babs, we went against each other. We were in the finals, you know, he won and stuff like that. And then I was just kind of like even getting second, third, or didn't make it. And it got to a point where I was like, man, I'm going to go try it one more time.
Nice.
If it doesn't, fuck this shit. And then next you know, I actually went in there like, I'm just to do my best, whatever the outcome. And luckily I won the 96 DMC West Coast. That was one of the biggest things and shit. Nice. 97, 98 ITF Team World Champions. That's with me, Babu, J-Rock, and Melody. That was even a bigger thing too, because a lot of people didn't know, obviously, if they didn't know already now, like, you know, the Scratch Pickles. At the time, they were called the Rock Steady DJs. When DMC implemented doing the team team routine, team DJ setups, it was a shoe-in for the Pickles, because they were already doing that. They were a three-man thing. Apollo and Mixmaster Mike, they had a two-man thing crew called what was it called? TWS, I think. Something with style, tweakers with style or something like that. Turntable with style, I don't know. And then eventually they added Qbert. But honestly, the concept of the team band DJ thing is Apollo, really. Apollo and Mixmaster Mike.
Right.
Right. So and then eventually when they came in there, it was perfect for them. They were doing 3-man. We perfected the 4-man. You know, the 4-man team routine and stuff like that. So, but yeah, so yeah, I mean, just winning the 97, 98, it put us on the mark for sure as a crew as well. And after that, that's when like around 98. That's when really things getting really busy for everyone. Like. Babs started, you know, like became part of Dilated Peoples. Melody was like mixing on the radio. Jay was also starting to mix on the radio, and then he started also become part of Stone's Throw. I was part of, you know, I started a group, the Visionaries. Shortcut and D Styles. A lot of people don't know that Shortcut and D-Styles were Beat Junkies before they become Scratch Pickles. So eventually they became dual members, Junkies and Scratch Pickles. So they were busy either with us or with them and stuff like that. So Chalk, who's one of the last members of our crew, was on their personality on Power 106 and stuff. Of course, the other members, like another member of our group, Tommy Gunn, he was our manager at one point. and he was also working for Loud Records and Raucous Records. So he also helped even facilitate something for Babs and Jay to do Sound Bombing 2 with Jared from Raucous Records and stuff. So, and then even one point, like Babu, J Rock, and myself used to work at Fat Beats LA. So there was a lot of, so during
a lot of collaboration.
There's a lot, not even collaboration. There was just a lot of things going on at the same time. So it was just exciting. It was just, and this is during the heyday of quote unquote LA underground golden era independent scene and shit. So you know, there were a lot of things going on. I mean, by that time, like '98, I dropped the world famous Beat Junkies Volume 2, and then after that, Sound Bombing 2 came out, and then just a lot of shit came out like that. You know. Oh yeah, Icy Ice was he opened up a store called Stacks here in LA and stuff like that. But you know, so it is a lot of cat. You know, we were just doing so many things. So that's why I kind of like stopped doing battles and shit. You know, and plus battle was like honestly, that's a full-time job in itself.
You have time.
Dude, this is like stressing out. Like when we had to defend our title for a chain battle, we had cats like we didn't even know who were gunning for our heads. So we're just like, oh shit. So, but yeah, man, you know, we also decided like, you know, if we're gonna battle, let's just end it on, you know, let's just
go
on top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the impetus behind forming the Visionaries a few years after the Beat Junkies crew came together?
So before the Visionaries were formed, one of the members, Key Cool, and one of the MCs, he's an MC and producer. He's Japanese American. So we actually made an album in it came out in '94, called Cosmonauts. And at the time, you know, I was working with some MC, didn't work out and stuff. And then I was kind of looking, you know, I was making beats and stuff and was trying to connect with some MCs, didn't work out and shit. And then eventually I ran into Key Cool. And then during that time, again, there was not that many any Asian MCs, okay? And if they were kind of corny, because you know, for me growing up, you know, you already know I'm not black, I'm not Latino, you're Asian, and my thing is, especially growing up, you want to be respected for your skills.
Right.
You don't want to be like, oh, he's a dope Filipino DJ.
Right.
No, you want to be like, oh, he's dope. He's a dope DJ that happens to be Filipino, right? So that was my thing. Because like growing up, again, going back to conversation, we didn't even have heroes, Filipinos and stuff. And usually, Filipinos, our culture is very beautiful and very talented. But a lot of it's like at the time, like when we had these things called Filipino culture nights. So at our high schools and in the colleges and stuff, and they would throw these things, and you see people doing dances, but they imitate what was ever hot, right? You know, whoever like or if someone was singing, you know, like when Envo came out, there was a couple of Filipino female R&B groups that would sing exactly like En Vogue, but they didn't have no original material and stuff like that. And I've always kind of wondered, like, you know, like we got a lot of talented people, but it's like there's always imitation. And in of course in culture hip hop, you have to be original. You can't. You can't. You know, it's one thing you imitate your influences and stuff, but of course, if you get to a point where it's like you're just biting them, you know, the term biting, stealing, you know, like so. My thing was always like, if I'm gonna come out, I want someone that's dope, right? The key was to me when we met, you know, we hit it off in terms of we were talking about hip hop and I liked how his skills, and I also like, you know, we just clicked, you know, attitude wise and stuff, like, so he trusted me with, he's like, here's the beats, you write this, you know, whatever, like that. So eventually we made our album Cosmonauts. And lucky, it was first album, that's my first ever record, whatever, produced and shit. Lucky to have had Raz Kaz on it and Saphir on it. Mean Green Voodoo. Actually, you were the only people that actually had, this is Raz's old group, Western Hemisphere. First and last officially to have on record, and then they broke up after that. And then Raz eventually, and during that time, I was doing scratches for Raz's, for his demo version of Soul on Ice.
Okay.
And then that's eventually, and then of course he became, started doing Soul on Ice. But yeah, pretty much, yeah. Oh yeah, then the Visionaries were we featured Visionaries during the making of Cosmonauts. That's when the Visionaries were formed, and they were featured on our album. And then it just became like, okay, let's make an album, and the rest is history.
What can you share about the new album?
Okay, so the new Visionaries album. It's been 13 years since we put out a new album. It's coming out this year for sure. We're in the final stages. If people don't know, Visionaries is a 6-man crew, multicultural. 2 Filipinos, 1 Japanese, 1 Caucasian, 1 African American, and 1 Latino.
Wow.
Didn't meant to be like that, but it was like that. So yeah.
That's why you sound so dope.
Yeah, and so it's the first time we made an album in 13 years, and we're dropping this year. Took us a while. This usually Kiko and myself would be the main producers, and we would have J Rock and Babu sometimes, they come to have additional productions and stuff. This one, it's just all me.
Wow.
And I want to say like 12 solid songs, and I don't know. Hopefully people like it, man. We'll see.
Sure they will. So you've worked with a long list of talented musicians, including Jay Dilla, Madlib, Premier, and Adrian Young. What about their process struck or stood out to you? Why were you like to work with?
Well, I never got to be in a studio with Dilla. We talked about things before he passed away. But I've heard stories, from a lot of different people. Of course, my brother Frank Nitt, Jay was the third member of J-Lib, so that bastard, he's lucky he got to go digging with him and Madlib and shit. So, and he would call it like, I just finished digging. I was like, oh, fuck you, fuck you. So, Primo, I've never got to be in the studio until just recently. I can finally say that, like, and I was kept on secret. So when he was working on the new Gangstar album, and this was last year, right? I remember because it was like I went to the studio in May and he was playing me shit, and then he had to lay scratches for Royce da 5'9" for his Book of Ryan album. I remember in the studio. It's like, oh, and then he introduced me to Royce. Like, we never met. You guys never met, and it's like, respect, dude. And just I get to see him. Like, I actually got to see him just laying cuts for the track so it was cool to see him just like putting the scratches. But I've never got to see him make a beat or anything like that. But I've heard stories like when Dilated did something with Premier, that he would actually make the beat right there in the spot for them, custom made right there like that. So Adrian, I've known Adrian for such a long time. I known Adrian when he was as a dancer and stuff, and he was studying to be a lawyer. I remember he was bringing me some music, and I didn't know that was him and stuff. And he was working on the movie Black Dynamite. He was telling me he was studying to be a lawyer, and he was doing scoring and stuff like that. Eventually, when he did Venice Dawn and shit like that, oh man, like he started playing. I was like, holy shit, this is you? When I found out it was him, I was like, dude, yeah, I've been trying to tell you. And I was like, man, and he pretty much told me, broke down like, he learned how to play all the music. He learned whatever you heard him say, like he went from sampling to learning how to play instruments and learning all the old school techniques of recording.
That analog.
Oh, straight analog and shit like that. I still remember when he played me the shit with Ghostface before just, like he on a deal. I was one of the few people. Him and he's part of this crew called also DP Sounds, which is a local DJ crew out here and stuff. He's part of them, and they play them. He played for them, and then he played for me and Mark Love and shit like that. So, and I always says, man, this shit sounds like a sample. So, and I've been one of the first people to actually get to sample him, but obviously there's other, like Primo and Black Milk, and then they got to put it out, but I was one of the first people. J57 from Brown can tell you that I was one of the first people that I officially got the green light from Adrian to sample him and shit. So, yeah.
Nice.
But I never got his studio, his new studio that he has with it's Art Form Studios is basically his wife's. It's a record store / his wife's hair salon. And then his recording studio in the back and shit. And that shit's fucking incredible.
Rhett, how did Rhettmatic come together?
Oh shit. Big ups to my brother Jay Rawls. I met Jay Rawls early 2000s. He was on first time vacationing in LA with his wife Pat, and they happened to come in to Fat Beats when I was working. And I was like, hey, shit, you're Jay Rawls. And she's like, oh. And I said, oh, you're Rhettmatic. He said, what are you doing? I work here. And she said, like, oh, shit, what are you doing here? Like, so, we, just like, man, we be selling your records here and shit like that. So I found out he was starting to come out and shit like that. At the time, John Robinson was living down in LA and stuff like that. So he was connecting with him. And he was starting to connect with other people like Aloe and Aloe Black. Who else? Few people and stuff like that, and that's how we, every time he comes, we try to connect and shit like that. So the more and more we hanged out, we became, we just became real friends, and I've been a fan of his work, and he was like, he liked my shit. He didn't know I'd make beats. I was a DJ, but he didn't know I'd make beats and stuff. Eventually I played some stuff, and we was like, yo, and then we just like let's do collabs. So. We've been so we're actually coming. Yeah, Rhettmatic. We're actually coming out with a producer's album. It's been.
That's my next question, actually.
it's been in the works for like off and on for a good at least 5-6 years. And shit.
That's okay.
But just because this thing's getting in the way, we said we're gonna do this and we never did it. But I think we officially put out a single. We had Craig G on it.
Role reversal, yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking to put out this year.
You got a lot coming out this year.
No, exactly. I mean, honestly, it's on me. I wish I just got to do the intro. Sometimes it's kind of hard, and then I'm also like I'm trying to finish up the Visionaries album. And then some other stuff, and then busy with junkie shit, so But it's coming out. I think hopefully people will like it and shit like that. So I mean, people will be surprised. Jay Rawls and Rhettmatic? Oh,
yeah, unlikely. Rhett, we have about another minute before it cuts off. I have a handful more questions. Do you want to jump off and jump back on, or?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, so jumping off and coming back on.
I'll start a new one.
Okay.